I feel like there's a lot of S's in this tournament name. Like, I don't know. I don't. I'm almost wondering: is it like Shriners? Is it hospitals? Are there multiple hospitals? Is it Children's? Is it the Children's Open? Or is it the Shrine? Which one's showing possession? The hospitals or the children? It's just confusing. Shriners Hospitals for Children Open, 2020. Here we are. I'm ready to
Didn't
go.
feel like that was how we were starting the show, but
You know.
yeah, the Shriners have hospitals all over the
Okay.
country, and
Oh,
there's
right.
children's all over the country. So
True.
it's for
True.
everyone, really.
Um, well, welcome everybody. What's also for everyone is the Tour Junkies podcast. Here we are. I'm your host, David Barnett. Low energy intro for me tonight. No big deal. No, NBD. I'll be good. Just just dealing with a little vocal fatigue today. Just a little bit of vocal fatigue, I think. But I'm ready to go. You know what's going to help with that is gosh dang, is I'm not doing vodka tonight, Pat. I'm going to
What do you
do
got
some
there?
Wild Leap ETA
Oh yes,
Transcontinental IPA. Ooh, did you see that squirt everywhere?
that stuff's really good.
It is
I
very
like
good.
that one and their golden,
Yes,
their
blonde.
pure gold golden ale, whatever they call it.
Yes. The thing I like about this IPA is it's not super hoppy. It's kind of like a little tangy citrus. It's very good. So, anyway, cheers to you. Your podcast juice tonight is what?
Well, I got a little Wild Leap as well, a little vodka with just a little kind of clubbed soda and a lime.
Okay. Welcome to everybody watching along on YouTube, live commenting. We appreciate it. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up, hit the like, subscribe. If you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, you must do so. It's going to be a good show tonight. We're going to get into the picks, course breakdown, all the things you need to know for the Shriners Hospital for Children Open. Yep.
Good job.
Nailed it. We're going to get into that at the end of the show tonight at our final segment. We're going to have just the tip. But tonight, normally just the tip is like one small tip about betting or about DFS to help you out, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or you've been doing it a long time. You just need a little reminder. Sometimes it's about your actual golf game, golf swing, whatever. Tonight, though, it's a special edition of Just the Tip. Myself and Pat Perry will be participating in my Champions Retreat member guest this weekend. It's the biggest event of the year at my club. Me and Pat absolutely live for this weekend every year. It's fantastic. It's been postponed due to COVID, but this weekend is happening. We are pumped, and we're going to give you the tips that you need to know if you are going to play in a member guest, whether you're the member or you're the guest, whether it's coming up or it's going to be next year. It's the things that you need to know to set yourself up for victory before the tournament and during the tournament, during your match. This has been well researched by myself and Pat. We've done this now 3 or 4 times between your club and my
A
club.
lot of testing. A lot of testing.
A lot of testing has gone into this. This is not some fly by night, just the tip, member guest tip. Okay. We're like licensed and bonded to do this. So I'm excited about it. We're going to get into that. If you don't care, then you can just be done once we're done with the picks. Shout out Wes Bearden. Gave us a little $5 tip on the super chat in YouTube. We've missed you, Wes. You're the only one that ever pays us anything on YouTube. We've missed you. Thank you, friend.
You have access to that. You see the chat and all that kind of stuff. Where does that money go? I never see it. Do you you have like a little side account on YouTube or something that all that you talk about it
goes
like
into
like where does
it
that
goes
go?
into
Do you
the
take it?
tour junkies account. It's just with all the riches we have, you don't notice. You don't notice.
Okay. I just didn't know if you had some way of, since you own the YouTube side of things, that you just like said, oh,
You have
well,
a
you know
login
what?
too, bro. You could get on the YouTube account and see where it goes if you wanted.
Okay.
All right. Well, last week sucked, frankly. Frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn to talk about last week. Sergio putted with his eyes closed, won his first tournament since the Masters in 2017, and pissed a lot of people off. There's a lot of carnage. I kept waiting for Keegan Bradley to fall out of the top 5, top 10. He didn't do that. Our picks, actually, I went and looked back at it today. My podcast picks were not terrible. it got worse as the week went on. So it was just not a great week for us.
Well, I know I faded Sergio on the podcast. I mean, I know that for sure. I did have a couple 6 of 6 lineups, which was amazing to me.
That's incredible. Coming off the big week before where we hit Hudson Swafford first round leader and outright, it was whatever. It was a big letdown week. We're moving on. You know, Peter Malnati pissed me off. I don't know if it pissed anybody else off, but frankly, like Peter Malnati can kiss it. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, he's tied for the lead and he's just dad shaming the piss out of everybody. He's over there frolicking around on a picnic blanket with his wife and kid for an hour, waiting on Sergio to finish to see if he's going to get in a playoff. Like, go hit some balls, dude. Go beat some balls. Go sweat it out somewhere. Don't dad shame all of us. Like, my wife's watching that like, oh my gosh, look at him. His only care in the world is that sweet baby and his lovely wife. And come on, dude. Like, you're about to win. You could be in a playoff to win a tournament that you haven't won a tournament since the last time you won this tournament, like in 2013 or whatever it was. And he's over there just being like, it's just the dad move of the week. Like, he needed to cut. If he'd have made the playoff, he should have come out with like his Monarchs on, his Nike Monarchs and his Dockers and looking like you before you met me. That's what he should have. I was so irritated with Peter Malnati.
Pants. Yeah, I'm glad that my wife doesn't like to watch sports with me because I would have gotten it. It's like when she sees something on Facebook, like somebody on Facebook posts like, "Oh, my husband did this wonderful anniversary thing for me that he thought of all by himself," even though that's not really correct. That she probably hinted at it for like all year long, and he did this and blah 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 blah, and then the wife comes to me and is like, "Look what your best friend did, you jerk." It's just the same thing.
We'll move on right after this. Last weekend, one of my good friends, who's a total idiot, but he's funny, has been married for 13 months. Okay, realized last week that he never signed the marriage certificate, and therefore his wife could not go to the DMV and change her name on her driver's license. That's how they found out. Later on in the night, Kristen, my wife, is like, "Well, Joe brought Alicia flowers." And I was like, "Well, Joe brought Alicia flowers because Joe's dumbass and didn't sign his marriage certificate after 13 months. That's why Joe brought Alicia flowers." Like, what? You want me to do dumb stuff like that? What are we talking about?
Yeah, you need all the details. They don't get all the details. They just
it's like the news media. Why is it like the news media? It's like half the information, leave out all the other half. Just it doesn't matter what side you're on. Like, let's just leave out the key pertinent details and make up whatever narrative we need to make up to support us. Anyway, Peter Malnati, screw you, man. I'm over that. All right, let's get into this. Shriners Hospital for Children Open 2020 TPC Summerlin. We are in Vegas, baby. Vegas. Strippers and blow. Pat, hit us with the course breakdown, buddy.
Okay. Great lead in. Yes, so we are at TPC Summerlin this week. Great course. It is a par 71 playing 7,255 yards. I wrote down 144 players, T65 and ties make the cut. I think that's what it is. It's kind of flip-flops between 156 and 144. Easy for me to say there. Typically, though, this course plays very easy. We've seen around 20 under wins, so scoring is definitely key. Now, a little outlier a few years ago, Patrick Cantlay won this tournament at 9 under in 2017. He almost won it again last year, by the way. I think he was in a playoff. But there was a lot of wind. It was kind of crazy that year.
Yeah.
Just played totally different. So kind of throw that year out, and right now I'm not seeing anything like that. So you got Bermuda grass from tee to green this week with bent grass greens that they usually have running very quick on the stimp meter. There's not a lot of danger off the tee as far as water hazards are concerned. They're in play on 4 holes. It's ranked as one of the easier courses on tour the last few years. Despite the fact that it's easy, and most of the time when you think about an easy course, you think, well, you maybe not have the fairways are probably easy to hit and you don't need to have driving accuracy. Well, actually, if you look at the stats over the last few years, driving accuracy has shown up as one of the key things this week that you need to do, because you've got to be in the fairway to attack these greens. So I think that's going to be something that's important. Obviously, we always talk the Bombers definitely have an advantage, but I do think accuracy off the tee does matter this week. I think scrambling is a stat that I looked at this week. Is something that we've seen in the past. It's shown up well here. And I'm definitely looking at recent form and your course history here. I think that will be as important as well. But this is just a ball striker's course, and these guys got to score. So as I mentioned, you want to look at those scoring stats like birdie or better percentage, opportunities gained on Fantasy National, that kind of stuff. Our past champs, 2019, we had Kevin Na. We had DB's favorite, Bryson DeChambeau, in 2018, who is in the field this week. First time since the U.S. Open. We have Patrick Cantlay in 2017. Rod Pampling in 2016. Rod Pampling. And then in 2015, just the wonderful Smiley Kaufman. Got us just lit it up on this final day. I think he was 9 or 10 under. And won his first tournament in 2015. Blew up onto the scene. And then all came crashing down. But he is in the field this week, actually. So what I missed, I'm sure I missed something. But there you go. That's TPC Summerlin for you from Pat's view. The Shriners Hospitals for Children Open in Las Vegas.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, course plays a little bit of elevation. Did you say that? I don't think you said that. Did you say that? A little bit of elevation here. Ball can go a little bit further. Similar to last week, bombing is not a prerequisite. Definitely beneficial. I, for one, am going to lean longer hitters, but I definitely, I probably always will. So it is what it is. Bent grass, definitely looking at bent grass, putting over the long-term strokes gain approach. Yep. DraftKings scoring opportunities gained is something that I really weighted this week, courtesy our friends at Fantasy National Golf Club. If you're like, hey, what is opportunities gained? Well, it's a proprietary stat to Fantasy National. It's our one-stop shop for golf stats and information on the PGA Tour. And now the Korn Ferry Tour is on Fantasy National, which I think the Korn Ferry Tour data on Fantasy National is excellent, and there's an edge out there with Korn Ferry right now, especially in the betting markets. You can take a look at all that data and really take advantage of some numbers on the old books there. So I like that on fantasynational.com. If you go to fantasynational.com/TJ, use promo code Tour Junkies or whatever, and go to the .com/TJ, you'll get 20% off your membership, whether you pick weekly, monthly, or annually. And if you change memberships, you still get the 20% off. FantasyNational.com/TJ. Opportunities gained is the stat I like. And what that tells me is guys giving themselves chances for birdies. It means they either get on the green or on the fringe, 15 feet or closer to the hole in or under regulation. So I'm looking at that number, looking at distance. Obviously, for DraftKings purposes, for DFS purposes, ownership's a big deal. Got to make sure you have some ownership leverage in the lineups. I tell you, last week, there was a lot of opportunity to have some ownership leverage. A lot of chalky names missed the cut or just didn't play well. So it was one of those weeks where if you fade all the chalk, you probably come out on top. We'll see if that's the case this week. Definitely a stronger field. Strongest one we've seen, since the U.S. Open. One of the stronger fields we probably will see here in the fall season. A lot of guys like coming out here and playing in Vegas. Why wouldn't you, right? But there is always the narrative, right? Like young guy, Vegas, lots to do, liquor, strippers, gambling, all the vices. You got to
worry about some of that.
Yeah, you got to be wary of that. You got to be wary if you're a handsome devil. You're out there, mixing it up with all the ladies and the ladies of the night. You could get into some trouble. So we'll be on the lookout.
Aren't we in Vegas 2 weeks in a row also?
We're at Shadow Creek, which is fantastic. Love Shadow Creek.
I think we
excited to see that.
I think we might get another good field for Shadow Creek. Actually.
That's true. We probably will get a. That's true. Pat didn't cover this, but with the winners, I like looking at the odds, the outright odds that they were when they won. Last year, Kevin Na won. He was pre-tournament 60-1. Bryson the year before that at 14-1, Cantlay at 20-1, Pampling at 300-1, Smiley Kaufman at 250, and then even before that, Ben Martin at 225. So we've definitely seen it shorten quite a bit in the last 3 years with Knott 60, Bryson at 14, Cantlay at 20. A lot of that is due to full FedEx Cup standings, a lot of the changes with the schedule. You have bigger names playing in some of these fall events. I think we're going to see shorter numbers come out on top. But, it's I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that a triple-digit winner pop up here again. It could happen. So that's about all I got. We'll watch the weather, be mindful of the wind. Easy course, tons of birdies if the weather is benign. So, Pat, you ready to get into this?
Yeah, I am. Let's get
all
going.
Right. Let's start at the top, 9K and above. We're going to give you 3 GPP plays or tournament plays. If you're playing on DFS, we're going to give you a cash game lock. Somebody you should play in 50-50s or double ups. And then we're going to give you a name to fade. I'll start, Pat. I gotta say, I really, really, really like a lot of cheap options in the 7K and 6K range. From a lineup construction standpoint, I am going to probably go heavily on studs and duds, play a lot of guys up here at the top, and then go, have some guys in the lower 7s, 6s, maybe rounding out my lineups. Whereas last week, I was actually kind of towards the end of the week, I actually constructed a lot of lineups in the middle range, where I think a lot of people went studs and duds. I just missed Sergio. I just freaking missed Sergio. I had Doc.
There was a lot of reason to miss him, though.
There was. Had Grillo, had Cam Davis, had Ventura, had Hoffman, had all those guys. Just didn't have Sergio. But this week, I really do like the top tier. And with the stronger field, you've got, obviously, more win equity in the names. I would say from about... and I'm actually going to throw Sergio out of here, but I would say from about Paul Casey up, that $9,200 range, you have a lot more win equity in this event than you did last week. So you're going to need to, make sure you have the winner. They're more than likely going to come out of this tier. So I'll start. I think there's going to be a few chalky names in here. Of course, there always is. I think Scotty Scheffler and Matt Wolff are going to be pretty chalky. If I have to play one, I think I like both. I don't mind either. So whichever one you want to plant your flag on, but I think I lean Scotty Scheffler at 9,400, checks a ton of boxes. He did play here for the first time last year. Didn't play great. I'm not too concerned. Had a decent weekend, fought hard on Friday last week at the Sanderson Farms to make the cut. Ended up finishing T37. His first event back after the COVID, the old Corvid. I'm not too concerned about. He had kind of a pretty abysmal, rusty tournament in terms of his iron play at the Sanderson. That doesn't typically happen for Scotty. So I see that as an outlier. I don't think that continues for him. And he arrives at a putting surface, unlike last week, that he actually putts pretty well. I mean, I say pretty well for him. He's always going to lose strokes on the putting surfaces, is what we've seen so far in his short PGA Tour career. But he does putt bent grass surfaces better than Bermuda, which is what we saw last week. So I think Scotty Scheffler for me, and that value and that win equity is as good as it gets. I like him a ton. It's really tough going above that. A little, honestly, if I'm on, I like English. I like Morikawa. I like Finau. I like Webb. I don't mind playing Bryson. I think I'm going to go with Webb as my second tournament play at 11K. Obviously, Webb's been playing fantastic. He's got a great record here. He's one of those players that can overcome lack of distance, but he's not like he's super short anyway. He gains strokes putting on every putting surface. He's better on Bermuda, but here at Bent, it's not like he's terrible. He's checking all the boxes that I mentioned earlier in terms of stats. I'm going to play Webb at 11,000. I think he has a chance to go a little bit under owned, sandwiched in between people playing Bryson and Cantlay. My third tournament play in this range is so hard. I think it's between Morikawa and English, and I think I lean English from the putting standpoint. I love him here on bent grass greens. He loves bent grass greens. He's got a solid record here at the Shriners. I do think if you look at data golf tends to, they predict which golf tournaments, which golf courses tend to lean more into course history being a thing. And this is one of those courses where, course history tends to matter a little bit. So I'm going to go with Harris English instead of Morikawa here. Checks the box in greens and regulation, hitting fairways, opportunities gained, hits that box, strokes gained approach, kind of middle of the field. We last saw him at the U.S. Open finishing 4th, whereas we saw Morikawa missing the cut. So I just think from a floor standpoint, English I like a little bit more. And then my cash play is Scotty Scheffler. I think he's a lock at that price. Scotty Scheffler for cash is a lock. My fade is going to be the guy who's won this tournament and had 2 runner-ups, and that's Patrick Cantlay at 10,400. I'm going to plant my flag, a bold flag, on fading Patrick Cantlay. It's tough, right? I think he's going to be pretty popular at only 10-4. You could make a case for him being up there with Webb, or maybe even price more than Webb, given the tremendous record here. DraftKings does tend to weigh course history pretty good, but he's not. If you look over the last 24 rounds, he's 48th in the field in approach, strokes gained approach, 90th in fairways gained, and 95th in opportunities gained over the last 24 rounds, which includes really only one decent finish, and that's a 12th at the BMW. And he putted the eyes out of it. He gained 3 strokes. He lost 5 on approach that week. So I just think, we haven't seen a great Patrick Cantlay. U.S. Open 43rd, Northern Trust miscut, PGA 43rd, WGC 35th. Like, it hasn't been fantastic. He hasn't been top 10 in it. So I think I'm going to take my chances. I think he'll be popular. I'm going to fade what I think is going to be chalky Cantlay. That's my 9K range.
Yeah, I do think he is going to be very chalky. I don't have him as a fade, but I mean, I get it. That's a bold call with a first and 2 seconds here, and almost 2 wins here. But for a guy that doesn't have a ton of wins on tour, it's pretty good. But okay, I'll start at the top. I like Webb and GPPs. I know I'm going to be eating a little bit of a chalk there, but I am perfectly fine with him for all the reasons that you mentioned. I mean, the guy's just. He's in good form, top 10 at the U.S. Open, checks all the boxes here. I think he makes for a great play. And I'm with you as well as far as strategy this week. I think you can definitely have a little bit more of a studs and duds type approach, especially in tournaments. So I will play Webb Simpson. I am on Colin Morikawa in GPPs at 9,800. I like him this week.
Don't hate it.
Look, I mean, the guy's just a stud. He played here last year, finished 42nd. We know he makes a ton of cuts, and that's not great for him, obviously. And you don't want a 42nd from him this week with his price. But, I mean, he's 13th in ball striking, 23rd in approach. He's 3rd in the field in driving accuracy, 14th off the tee, 25th in that opportunities gained stat you mentioned. He checks the box in birdie or better percentage. So I think across the board, this is really a course that Morikawa could play well on and could easily win on. So I like him in GPPs, and I also like him as my cash play at 9,800. So I will play him in cash as well.
Okay.
You mentioned Matthew Wolff. I am on him in GPPs, and maybe that's going to be chalky. I kind of didn't think he would be as chalky as maybe you think he is. I mean, I know he's in good form and all that kind of stuff, and he does check a lot of boxes, but there's so many guys in here that you really are going to have to kind of choose from that I just wonder, what that looks like. Hideki's right there. I can't.
Oh, people will be way more. I
believe you did not mention Hideki. I thought for sure the listeners thought for sure you were going to mention Hideki, but you didn't.
Listen, I don't pick it. I pick my spots with Hideki. I'm not constantly on Hideki. People think that I'm not, but I will say over the last few weeks since the restart, it's paid off. So quit your pissing and moaning.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't hate Hideki here. I really don't.
For me, the fade this week is Jason Day. I'm not sure.
You love Jason Day.
Yeah, and I do love it. Like scrambling wise, that he definitely checks the box. Bent grass putting, he's like in the top 10 in the field. But outside of that, everything else isn't really all that great when you look at Jason Day. I mean, he's 81st in ball striking, 93rd in strokes gained approach, 103rd in the field in driving accuracy, 70th in opportunities gained. So I just don't know about paying 9,500 for Day. It's probably a decent price. It's probably what he should be priced. But I'm going to fade him this week. I'm not a fan. And so, I love playing some Jason Day, but he will be a fade for me this week. So GPPs, Webb, Morikawa, and Matthew Wolff. Cash, Morikawa. Fade will be Jason Day.
Yeah, and I don't mind that fade either. I think above, like from Sung Jae up, really the only two players that I just don't feel great about at all, or that I think are the easiest two to make a case to fade would be Cantlay and Day. So I think we nailed that in terms of what I was thinking anyway. And I think that probably means that from Sung Jae, Paul Casey, Sergio, Fowler, those are going to be your lower owned plays in this range. So, maybe we dig deep into those by Wednesday night or so and see if there's some reasons to make a case. And there probably are. Like these guys are all really good. So it is what it is. You just got to plant your flag. I do think that with those big names from Sung Jae up, you're not going to have anybody who's like 28% owned or 30% owned. We had that last week. We had and I think maybe the week before, you had like four guys who were eating up 22, 24%, plus ownership. So I don't think that's going to be the case here, which means, feel free to plant your flag on a couple of the names up here and then get your leverage somewhere else. So I think that's very doable. Let's get into the 8K range. This is a really straightforward range for me, actually. Normally it's a tough decision for me, but I actually came to I came to these decisions very quickly. For me, in terms of tournament plays, I'm going to give you two tournament or GPP plays, a cash play, and a fade. I'm getting back on Louis Oosthuizen. He withdrew a couple of weeks ago. I hated that, but I want to play him. He's playing so well right now. His form is very, very strong right now. I love the way Louis playing. He's checking all the boxes. Give me Louis, and he's never super chalky at all. But he's got winning upside. I don't know. And he's playing great. So give me Louis. Checks a lot of boxes. I'll take it. And then give me Joaquin Niemann. Joaquin Niemann is a guy that I don't normally play for tournaments, but I could see Joaquin being like sub 10% here in the 8K range. And I think he gives you some win equity. He gives you some top 10 equity. In his PGA Tour career, his best putting surface is bent grass. Does have a top 10 here and a miscut, whatever. Checks the box in approach, screens and regulation, distance. And I think it's a good value for Joaquin. And I think he's playing very confident too. I mean, third at Olympia Fields for the BMW, made it to the Tour Championship, didn't play well at Eastlake. Then he goes to the US Open, finishes 23rd there. Now, he did gain a butt ton of strokes putting at the US Open, which scares me a little bit. But I still think this is a good spot for Joaquin Niemann. He's taken advantage of the fall swing before. I think this is a nice spot for him, and I think he's going to give you some tournament leverage for sure. And you know who my cash play is. There's no doubt who my cash play is. I will ride Cameron Davis all the way. Yeah. Last week I was all over him. I said there were like three names that I might consider over him. Well, he finished better than all three of those names. Had him as an outright. He was tied for the lead going into Sunday. Totally crapped the bet on Sunday. But now he leaves Bermuda, which is his worst putting surface, and arrives at his best putting surface over his PGA Tour career, which is bent grass. He gained strokes in every single strokes gain category last week. He's a ball striking stud. Can easily take advantage of these 3 par 5s. He gives you a tremendously high floor, I think. And I think the dude is ready to win. I mean, it's not like he really put himself into the mix on Sunday because he kind of fell off quickly. But he slept on an overnight lead, and he felt it. He was in the final group, and he watched Sergio take that tournament last week. I think it's a great learning experience for a young guy like Cameron, and the ball striking is incredible. If he's chalk, I don't care. I will pair him with someone else and eat it. So Cam Davis is my guy. My fade is going to be a guy who I was like so sick. I already referenced him earlier. I was so sick of watching his little ass play well last week. I'm like, fall off the world. And that is Keegan Bradley. He came out and had a great first round. And I'm like, oh, here we go. You can't have a full Keegan unless he does really well day one. A full Keegan meaning, shoot like a 64 day one and like an 80 day two, right? You can't have that unless so then I'm expecting it on day two. And what do I get? Not that. And then he ends up finishing fourth. Give me a break. He gained 3 strokes putting. 3. Do you know how ridiculous that is for Keegan Bradley? He doesn't do it often. Last time he did do it at the Charles Schwab, the first event back. Somehow, by God's grace, he came out of quarantine and gained 3.7 strokes with the putter. That is ridiculous. He does that about 2 or 3 times a year. That's it. He's a terrible putter, a historically terrible putter. That's not happening again. Regression is on the way for Keegan Bradley. A pretty mixed bag here at the Shriners, a miscut, a 70th, and a 7th place finish. Fade Keegan Bradley. I can't stand him. Not at 8,000. Like 6,800 Keegan Bradley, ball striking kind of contest, sure, but not 8,000. That's the 8K range for me.
Okay, well, we did not mention anybody that was the same player in this range, which is good. Last week we had a lot of that, a lot of agreement, and so I'm going to start with my first GPP play, and I'm going to start at the bottom at 8,000. Brian Harman. I like Brian Harman this week. Look, checks the box in driving accuracy.
Why do people get on Brian Harman? I don't understand. Little cockbite. Remember his nickname in college? Cockbite.
Well, I mean, look at the stats for him. Around the green, top 15
it's not
in the
good.
field.
Driving accuracy. You're looking at.
Checks the box in driving accuracy. Opportunities gained. He's in the top third in the field there. Birdie percentage.
Sucks in distance. Sucks in greens and regulation.
I don't care about the distance I mentioned earlier.
His history here is like bleh. Like he makes cuts, but like whatever.
He's 8,000. He finished top 15 here in 2017 and top 20 last year. That's not terrible. What are you talking about?
That's a terrible pick. I hate that pick. I hate little cockbite, little Napoleon.
Okay, well,
go Dogs though. Go Dogs.
He is in pretty good form, and so I like some Brian Harman at 8,000. I will play him in tournaments. Going up above that, I like Zach Johnson at 8,500. Another guy coming in sneaky good form. He was T20.
Yeah, just team.
Can I talk? Can you just not comment for a minute?
Just team can't hit it far.
Okay, well, if you could just shut up for a second. I didn't do that while you were giving your picks. But anyway, Zach Johnson at 8,500. Last week was T23, top 10 at the U.S. Open. You look at his stats. He putts extremely well on bent grass greens. He is, top 10 in the field there. And then overall, fourth in approach over his last 24 rounds, 28th in ball striking, 14th in opportunities gained. A stat you mentioned that you like. He's top 15 in the field there. He's 26 in birdie or better percentage, another scoring stat that checks the box. So I think Zach Johnson makes a good amount of sense. And you know what? Nobody's going to take him. He's going to be low owned in your tournament play. So if you want to gain some leverage, definitely take some Zach Johnson. I like him as well. My fade, before I give you my cash play, is going to be Jason Kokrak at 8,900. I just can't pay 8,900 in this field for Jason Kokrak. I do know he has played well recently.
But you're going to pay 85 for Zach Johnson? Are you freaking mental?
Yeah, of course I am. Of course I am. Yeah. Jason Kokrak is terrible putting on bent grass green. He's barely in the top 100 in the field. Terrible with his driving accuracy. I know he's got the length that you love and you just fall for every time. But
I do like him long. You know what I mean? It's familiar to me. I like familiarity. I get it. You like something you're familiar with, so you go with you go with tiny things. I get it.
Okay, whatever. But anyway, Kokrak is in his form here is, if you look at it, yes, he has made like his last 5 cuts.
God,
that
I hate
includes
this range for you.
A T38, a 74th, a T20 in 2018. I'll give him that.
Did your wife come up with these picks?
And a T63rd at last year. So he's played here like 5 years in a row.
So you're ignoring the fact that he's 32nd in strokes gained approach, 8th in greens and regulation, 18th in opportunities gained, 11th in distance. Like you're just going to ignore all that.
Oh, he certainly checked. You ignore things all the time.
This is a presidential debate. You're just leaving out critical facts.
You ignore things all the time.
What do I ignore all the time? All the time. That is the dumbest statement. You ignore things all the time.
You do.
Well, you're a duty head. I mean, what are you talking about? We need a bet. I feel like this is a bet.
Okay, how about this? Neiman.
If I gave you a bad pick, you would have somebody.
Neiman, by the way, I like
Neiman.
By the way, this from a betting standpoint this week. I think he's going to be higher owned than you think. I don't think you're gaining a whole lot of leverage at 8,100 with Neiman. He can't hit a fairway. He's 125th in the field in strokes gained around the green. You know, he's okay in opportunities gained and birdie or better percentage, but not really much better than
what's your bet? I know you don't want to bet me on projecting ownership. It's like we may as well just have you lose the bet now. What do you want me to bet on? Neiman versus who or something? What do you want me to do?
No, I'm not trying to say that there's a bet. I'm just proving a point here that you ignore certain facts too. You cannot look at these players 1 through 44 and say you don't ignore stats at some point. And there's some guys you just have a feeling about that aren't going to check every single box. You can't sit there and tell me that all your picks
100%.
check every
right.
single box, and there's never going to be something that you ignore with that player. You can never tell me that.
Yeah, and I have never told you that. Duh.
You just said you're ignoring the facts and you're leaving these out. That makes no that
you're ignoring a bountiful amount of facts. Like yes, okay, I'm willing to overlook that Joaquin Neiman does not hit a lot of fairways, but I since when on the PGA Tour do you have to hit a lot of fairway? You didn't have to hit a lot of fairways of Winged Foot. Give me a freaking break. This isn't Winged Foot. So it kind of depends on what the stats are that you're ignoring. And to me,
because
a guy like Neiman, who checks every other box other than fairways.
Unlike you, I believe that hitting
fairways
loves
avocados. He has a smoking hot girlfriend. I mean, what?
I believe
Zach Johnson literally does one thing well. Okay, Zach Johnson putts well, does not or hits it accurately. He doesn't have a smoking hot girlfriend. He doesn't hit it far.
If you look at the top 10 over the last few years, driving accuracy has been a key factor in their play.
Cool.
Well, go look it up. I did. I mean, you can go look it up.
Driving accuracy is overrated. You'll see that when the member guest starts on Friday. I'll show you.
Okay. There is something to be said for being accurate off the tee. When you are hitting the ball out of the fairway onto the green, you have a better chance of attacking a hole and doing the things like having good opportunities gained stats, having good scoring stats, which you're going to have this week, than you do when you're hitting out of the rough. That's just there. That's science. Okay. Jeez.
All right, Bill Nye. Well, let me know when you're ready to make a bet, because I would put a lot of people against ZJ and Harmon. I mean, or I will take Kokrak on something. Like I literally hate every pick you just said. All right, why don't you start at 7K?
I hate a lot of your picks, but I'm like not that passionate about telling you how much I hate them. Oh my God, you're already pissing me off.
Maybe you should let them hang.
We haven't even got to the first tee. We haven't even got to the first tee of the member guest, and you're already pissing me off. Here's the thing, by the way. Let's go to we'll talk about this later.
Yeah, give me your 7K range.
Okay, 7K range. I'm gonna start.
This should be good.
Okay, I'm gonna start with last week's chalk bomb, and that's Denny McCarthy. First off, I hated last week's chalk bomb. I said this in the chat. Everybody said, "Do you like?" We don't, by the way, always agree with chalk bomb.
There's the fade column. Can you see it?
Yeah, nice. Look, I look good. Fine.
The one name I wrote in all the players in the 7K range, my fade is Denny McCarthy.
Okay. Well.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a fun nut hut this weekend.
Checking the box and ball striking,
whatever day
14th in approach, 7th in fairways gained, 36 in opportunities gained. He's 5th in the field in birdie or better percentage. He was the chalk bomb last week, and that didn't turn out so well because what happened? He was.
Hey, that was all Ben's doing. I didn't do that.
He was 6th last week. Has been in good recent form. Outside of the miscut at the Safeway. I'll give you that. Has fantastic tournament history here. When you look at his last 2 years, he was top 15 in 2019, top 10 in 2018. And they put 2020 for last year, even though it was
Good
really
God,
in
man.
2019. It drives me crazy. Anyway, he was top 10 last year. I like Denny McCarthy at 7,700. I think he's a good play.
While we're on him, I have to combat this. But go ahead. Are you done?
Oh, he's fourth, by the way, in putting on bent grass greens in this field. So I'll throw that one out too.
Okay. Last week, Denny McCarthy gained 5.5 shots tee to green. I have a newsflash for you, people. Denny McCarthy does not do that very often. In fact, that was only the second time in his entire PGA Tour record of 72 strokes gained events measured. 72. That was the second time he's done that. Second time. Does that sound repeatable to anyone? Does that sound like, Denny McCarthy gained 5.5 strokes on his way to his T6th finish? Does that sound like it's something that he's going to do again? No. Nay, I would argue. Nay. Pat brings up his 9th place finish last year at the Shriners. Well, guess what he did last year on the way to that 9th place finish? He gained 9 shots putting. Now, Denny McCarthy is a fantastic putter.
He's a good putter. I just pointed out he's fourth in the field in putting.
A very good putter. You did point that out. Very good putter. 9 shots is even for little Denny is quite the feat. I feel like Ben was getting into something last week, but Denny kept the train on the tracks, kept doing his thing. Now he enters a much stronger field. His price, 7,700, isn't terrible. I'll give you that. Like, it's not awful. I'd rather have him over Brian Harmon, honestly. But I think he's a bold fade. You can tell on this show I'm planting my flag with some bold fades. Patrick Cantlay, your course horse, Keegan Bradley coming off a T4, and now Denny McCarthy coming off a 9th place finish. I think he's a bold fade in this range. I don't see gaining 5.5 strokes continuing to happen. And the putter can't be, it's going to be good for Denny. He's going to be positive, but it's not likely to be as high as it has been. So,
all right,
continue with the rest of your
picks. Can I get going here? You're literally like the threesome that is behind you on the first tee that hijacks the tee.
Oh, wait a minute. When you said threesome behind you, I was like, whoa.
This is what happens. You get the threesome behind you that's on they're saying, all right, hey guys, we just have 3. And can we just go ahead and tee off in front of you? So you just hijack the tee, and then you go on. And then guess what happens? 100% of the time, the 4th comes driving down the fairway.
That's you showing up late, or no, because you left your club 3 holes ago, and you had to go back and find it. That's you. You're the 4th. Are you the 4th in this story? I think you're the 4th in this story.
No.
Yeah, you're the one. You left your pitching wedge like 3 holes ago.
I tee off on time. I may show up on the tee, but I always tee off on time.
But you show up on the tee.
You're literally like the hijacker of tee boxes. That's what you are. Like, I was doing the 7,000 range, and you just went in there and went into some huge thing that nobody really.
Well, you said the name, and so it didn't make any sense to come back to it.
Yeah,
you might as well just duke it out right there.
When you got to fade, you could have done that. Anyway. Where was I? I'll also take as a GPP play. I like Mr. James Hahn at 7,000. Oh. Another guy who is in some pretty decent form when you look at it over the last couple weeks. I mean, the guy has he's not a name that you just sit there and love to play, but his last 2 tournaments at the Safeway and at Punta Cana, he's finished top 10 in both of those events. You look at his tournament history here. He's made the cut the last 4 years with the T15 back in 2017. I think James Hahn makes a lot of sense in your tournament lineups this week. And from a stat standpoint, I mean, checks the box around the green, off the tee, driving accuracy. I mean, I think he's a good play. I like him at 7,000. So he is another guy that I will plant my flag on, as you have said a billion times in this podcast. The next guy that I will go with is Mr. Christopher Ventura at 7,100. We saw him play fantastic last week. You had an outright bet on him. I will go with him once again. I'm riding the hot hand. I think you can do this. There's another guy I'll mention in the 6K range that I think you should also ride the hot hand with. And Ventura definitely checks the box. Top 10 off the tee, 12th in birdie or better percentage. He's top 40 in the field in ball striking. He actually did play this tournament last year. He missed the cut, by the way, 2 years before that, but he top 20 last year with a T18 finish. So I like Mr. Ventura there at 7,100. He will be another tournament play for me. Cash play is a guy that I faded last week, and it faded him. It was a very ill-advised fade, just like Sergio Garcia was, which we all couldn't see coming. But this one is a guy who has been playing really well, and that is I'm playing in cash Sebastian Munoz at 7,900. I don't think you can fade him. The guy has just been fantastic. I shouldn't have faded him last week. He proved me wrong. You look at everything from form to the stats, all of that. I mean, I think he's just a plug and play type guy that you can put in cash lineup. So I will play him in cash. My fade is Cam Smith. I don't like Cam Smith at 7,800. I don't know. I think he could end up being like a relatively like a good, maybe low-owned play. And he does have good history here with top 15s in his last 2 starts. But you just look at the stats. For one, everybody talks about him being a great scrambler. Well, I mean, he's like 42nd in the field in that category. He's 108th in strokes gained off the tee.
Historically, he's a good scrambler.
Yeah. 121st in driving accuracy. Doesn't check the scoring stats for me or ball striking. So I don't like Cam Smith at 7,800. He will be my fade in this category. So there you go. Rip all you want. You did Denny McCarthy.
Okay. We found a little bit. While
you do that, I got to get a quick refill. So
all right, we found a little bit of the same thing, mojo going on. I actually had Hahn and Ventura as potential names. I did kind of like Ventura. I definitely like Ventura is going to be chalk. He's going to be 12 to 15% owned. It's $7,100. That's super cheap for him. I even honestly think you could play him in cash. This is crazy. Like last year, before the season started, I thought Ventura was going to have the rookie year that like a Scotty Scheffler had, and he just didn't. He did not have it. But I guess, he's a late bloomer, right? He's a late bloomer. Pubes came in, one summer after most of the guys for Ventura, and here he is. He's playing well. He's getting some momentum. Going into Sunday this past week, I had Davis tied for the lead written up in the betting card at 50 or 60 to 1. Had Hoffman like 3 shots back at 70 to 1, and Ventura 2 shots back at 75 to 1. They all 3 crapped the bed. I think you learn a little bit, and I love the value of Ventura at 7,100. Hard to pass that up. So I'll try to give you a few names. Now, the first one I'm going to give you, I think, is also going to be pretty popular, but $7,000 is too good, too cheap to pass up on Luke List. The inconsistency in the recent form, I don't like, okay? He shouldn't have missed a cut last week. He sucked with his irons. Normally, he does not. Even despite the poor 2 rounds last week, over the last 24, he's 37th in this field in approach, 12th in greens and regulation, 7th in opportunities gained. He's one of the longest hitters in this field. And he's got a pretty decent record here at the Shriners with no missed cuts and 3 top 20s. I think Luke List at 7K is a tremendous value. And although maybe a little popular, I think he's still worth a play. Now, I think I'm going to give you a little bit of ownership leverage on this next guy, and I'm probably going to have to sell you on him. And that is Adam Hadwin, 7,100. Now, he's a short knocker I'm getting behind, but he's only $7,100. So I get a lot of salary relief, and he's going to be super low owned. Great putter, good on bent. In his last 4 attempts at the Shriners, a T4, a 27th, a miscut, and a 10th. Now, you may look at his recent form and go, recent form is not that great. All right, well, let's take a look at the golf courses that we're talking about. Here are his recent results. U.S. Open, Winged Foot, remember it? Tough. 54th. BMW, Olympia Fields, remember it? Freaking tough. T40. Northern Trust, that's a FedEx Cup event. Incredible field. He missed a cut. Oh, well. PGA, Harding Park, pretty tough. 58th. WGC, St. Jude, not a super tough course, but it's a WGC event. He finished basically DFL. But listen, he's playing tough events, and his finishes aren't great. And I think that's throwing a lot of people off. And I also think it's making the stats look pretty weak for him. He doesn't check a lot of boxes. He's a fairway finding, putting Canadian. Okay. But I think there's some leverage there, and I think there's some upside because he likes this place. He likes Vegas. He's a family man. He's like freaking Peter Malnati, but the Canadian version. So he's not going to be out running around, getting hitched to some hoe that he met on the street by accident and then forgetting it the next day, and he's standing on like number 4 and remembers he just got married the night before. He's not going to be doing all that. You're not going to have that. So I think that's a benefit. So I'm going to go Hadwin, Luke List. Yeah, and then I'm going to go back to the well. I can't stop Siwoo Kimming right now. I can't stop it. The Siwoo Kimming is all over me. He's at 7,500. People continue to not really play him that much, but he continues to make cuts, grind it out, give you some winning upside if he could ever put it all together, for crying out loud. Bent is now his best putting surface. It is his best putting surface. It's the only putting surface over his entire career that he's actually gained strokes on, is bent grass.
I would have never thought that for Siwoo.
I know, you wouldn't have. He's never missed a cut at the Shriners, with a 15th and a 25th are his best finishes. T37 at the Sanderson, whatever. Who cares? It's a birdie fest. Siwoo likes birdies. Siwoo likey the birdies, okay? Go with Siwoo. Those are my guys. I think you can play Luke List in cash at 7,000. Despite the up and down recent form, I think you could play Luke List in cash. He'll be my cash play. There you go. That was an incredible job by me, if I do say so myself.
Can you give me a quick rundown on what you just picked?
I actually very much agreed with you on Ventura, and also liked James Hahn, had him written down. But officially, my tournament plays were List, Adam Hadwin, and Siwoo Kim. List and cash. McCarthy is my fade.
Okay.
Why don't you go in the 6K, and I'm gonna go get another beer because I'm about to get my throat's feeling better because I'm drinking these Wild Leap ETAs, and I need another one. Okay, Pumpkin.
I'll start with that. I will
6K.
start here in the 6K range with my first well, they're all GPP plays, but I'm going to start with Mr. Scott Stallings at 6,800. I like him a lot this week. You look at the stats here. He is 33rd in the field in ball striking, 11th in strokes gained approach. He's 19th in opportunities gained. He's 20th in birdie or better percentage. So I think Stallings is a good guy that offers you a ton of upside, who actually could even win. Like, he could be the type guy that comes out of nowhere. I believe he is, I wrote it down, he's 150 to 1 on PointsBet. Pretty long number there, but for a guy that I do think has a little tiny bit of win equity, I love that one. That's a good one too, by the way, DB, that beer you got there. And he's played pretty well here. I mean, he's made the cut the last 4 out of 5 years, with the T16 being his best finish back in 2016. So Scott Stallings at 6,800. I like him this week. I'm going back on a guy that burned me last week, and I know you're going to hate this play, and I don't care. We can argue about this one too if you want to tonight. But I'm going back to Chesson Hadley at 6,700. I like him this week. You look at his history here. It's fantastic. I mean, top 20 last year, T7 in 2018, T4 in 2016 or 2017. So he's played extremely well the last few times he's played at this event. And then you look at his stats. I mean, across the board for a guy in the 6K range, it's really not all that bad. 50th in the approach, top 50 in ball striking, checks the box in opportunities gained and birdie or better percentage. Driving accuracy and off the tee is not too bad for a guy in this range. So even though I took him last week and he didn't come through for me, because he was showing a little bit of form. He did miss the cut last week after a T51 at the U.S. Open and a T15 at the Safeway, or T14 at the Safeway Open. I like Chesson Hadley at 6,700. I think he is certainly going to be low owned and could be a good tournament play. And then I'm back on a guy that I don't understand, like, what he has to do to get a price increase, and I'm fine with where he is. Keep him where he is. But Tyler McCumber at 6,500.
Yeah.
I mean, he's all he's done is finish second. And then what was he last week? Sixth last week. In his last two events, we know he's got plenty of distance off the tee. We know he's a great scorer. I mean, he is. I think it's just another good week to play him, and we didn't even get that much of an increase in his price based off of his form. So I will play a lot of McCumber here in this range. I like him a lot. Checks the box also in approach and ball striking. So at 6,500, he will be my third GPP play. So there you go. Stallings, Hadley, and McCumber are my three GPP plays in the 6K and under range.
I think one of the reasons I'm fired up, man, is I've had a good time. The Nut Hut got a major upgrade today. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the Nut Hut has moved to Discord, the Discord app chat service. And I had a lot of fun. I was already on there today, mixing it up with other Nut Hutters, talking a little bit of golf and having a good time. And I think that is kind of I started drinking some beers a little early, and I think that's why I'm kind of like this. So, but anyway, the Nut Hut. If you are a current Nut Hut member, you need to check your email. We have sent you instructions on how to access the new Discord private chat server. If you already have a Discord account, you can simply use that existing Discord account. If not, you'll need to set one of those up as well. But yeah, if you're not a Nut Hut member, I don't know what you're doing. Even during during this like down fall season where everybody cares about the NFL, right? Well, screw that. Okay. We have Nut Hut members who have won nearly $3 million since the restart in June playing golf. Okay. We've got a ton of sharp members, even outside of actually just not including me and Pat, because we're not that sharp, but a ton of sharp members that are giving great data, great information in the Nut Hut 24/7. You can have access to it. And now that it's on Discord, it is even smoother, easier, more functionality. It's going to be fantastic. We're having a great time in there already today. Thank you to everybody who's already gotten in there and gotten started with the Discord app. It's a lot of fun. Go to tourjunkies.com. Click on Nut Hut. You'll have to register there to sign up. You won't be able to sign up straight from Discord. So you have to go to tourjunkies.com, Golby's Nut Hut. Go ahead and register. It's $10 a month. That's it. $10 a month, not $10 a week, $10 a month or $90 for the entire year, the entire PGA Tour season, 50 events that you will get chat access to me and Pat and to Ben, to other sharp Nut Hut members. You get a great community. You get 20% off anything that you ever buy on the Tour Junkies store, as long as you're a member. We bring you the inside caddy information that we get every single week. Some of that is good, some of that is not. What else do you get? You get all kind of stuff. You get first access to any Tour Junkies events that we're going to do, which hopefully those come back in 2021. You get extra bonus codes and extra percentages off certain deals we make with sponsors, with advertisers. It's a great thing. You need to do it. But I had a great time in Discord today, and I think maybe that's why I'm already 3 sheets right now.
I had a good time too when I finally got in.
Yeah, I saw that. Good for you.
Okay, let's hear your 6K range.
I actually had written down McCumber. There's a handful of names in here I like. I mean, Schenk is the easy one if you start at the top. Like, he's just playing really good. He's solid. He plays well at this course. I think Schenk is about as a slam dunk as it gets. I love me some Gooch, man. I love when the Gooch is loose, and I think he's loose right now. He's playing well. He checks a lot of boxes here, actually. He's got a 16th place finish here, his first attempt out. Gooch has a lot of upside, I think, that a lot of these other names may not necessarily have. I think he has more upside than a guy like Chesson Hadley. I don't mind the Chesson Hadley play, actually, believe it or not. How about Francesco Molinari? We didn't even mention him. He's coming back, making his first appearance since the WGC Mexico. Has now taken up permanent residence in California and making his first start back since the restart, since old Corvid. So welcome back, Francesco. I'm not going to play you, but welcome back. I think it's too early to jump ship on $6,600 Xinjun Zhang. We've been talking about him the last couple of events. Finished 14th at the Safeway 2 weeks ago. 11th at the Corrales. Missed the cut last week, so not great there. But this is a guy who's played this event twice with a 16th place finish last year. I think Zinjun is, he's not the most consistent thing in the world, but damn, when the dude makes cuts, I mean, since the restart, this is what he's done. Miscut, 10th place, 12th place, miscut, 14th place, 11th place, miscut. So he literally misses the cut or he finishes top 15. Like, what more do you want for a guy who's $6,600 in terms of a tournament play? He's got a ton of upside. So I think Zinjun is great. Sepp Straka, let's get back on Sepp. He actually putts way better on bent grass in the sample size he's got since turning pro. His freaking bent grass numbers are light years better than Bermuda and Poa. And we know he's a good ball striker. He bombs it. Opportunities gained, checks the box. Why not a little Sepp Straka? And then if I'm going to go super low, I think old Justin Suh. Where's he at? He's a 6,200 college standout, 14th place finish a couple weeks ago at Corrales. I think Justin Suh may be the cheapest play I'd go. So there you have it, Pat. Boy, I am feeling
a lot of good
right
conversation there, and that and disagreement and agreement in the Shriners. It's okay. I'm okay with that. It's fun.
Okay. Oh man. Boy, by the time we get to the member guest stuff and the Tour Junkies After Dark DraftKings YouTube show that we do, I'm going to be full on face numb, beer drunk.
So you had a few, so you must have had a few before the show.
I had two before the show.
Yeah, those are they got some potency.
Is that a word? Yeah, they're quite potent. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Let's talk sportsbook plays. We're looking at DK. We're looking at points bet. By the way, if you are in a state where it's legal, or if you're not, you can still set up an account and they will notify you once it becomes legal. It would really make us happy if you sign up at PointsBet using promo code TJ250. Guess what? That $250 means something. It means you can get a deposit bonus up to $250 if you deposit. PointsBet will match. Actually, we found, if you compare a lot of these outright numbers, they're better on PointsBet. DraftKings has a number of them, but you got to shop lines.
There's a few that lines. You can, yeah. I have 3 or 4 on both sides here that I like. So
promo code TJ250. Go to PointsBet. PointsBet. I think I spelled that right. .com. PointsBet.com. Legal in New Jersey, Iowa, Illinois, I think for now. Coming soon to Tennessee, Colorado, all those places.
Tennessee, Colorado.
Gamble responsibly. But definitely use TJ250. We would really appreciate that. They help. They give us a little love when that happens, and it makes them say, hey, we want to keep working with you guys. All right, Pat. Where are you looking? Outrights.
Well, there's not there are some times when I like to go a little bit shorter, but there's really not anybody that strikes my fancy that short, other than
Brian Harmon and Zach Johnson.
Yeah, well, they're just short in stature, but other than a guy you mentioned when we were talking about the 9K and above range that you weren't necessarily on, but you might look at a little bit harder later in the week. Ricky Fowler at 35-1. I think that could be a decent number for him.
So I like him. Though? You think he's gonna win? I don't think he's gonna win.
I think he easily could. He's won before.
Easily could? Come on, man.
So I like Ricky.
Who's
Fowler
more drunk here?
I like Ricky Fowler at 35-1, despite my interrupting co-host. It's interrupts all the time. Your boy Joaquin Niemann at 70-1, I think, is a really good number.
You hated on Joaquin Niemann.
No, I didn't hate on him. You mentioned I didn't hate on him. I just was giving you an example of a difference in stats and things like that, how you can point on different things. So I like Niemann.
You're talking out of both sides of your mouth, Senator.
No, I'm not. I didn't say I wasn't necessarily going to play him. I just was pointing out a difference because he was like, there's only a few guys in the 8K range, and he was one of the guys you liked. I do think he's going to be higher owned than you think he is, but I like him in betting at 70-1. Joel Damon is at 140-1. We didn't mention him at all on the podcast. I think he's a guy that could be a someone that could win this week. Adam Hadwin is also 140-1. Now, those last four that I mentioned are on DraftKings Sportsbook, but switching over to PointsBet, I like Abraham Answer at 60-1. I like Doc Redman at 70-1. He was another guy that I think pops in DFS that we did not mention, but I like that number at 70-1. And then a guy I mentioned in the 6K range at 150-1 on PointsBet is Scott Stallings. I think that makes a lot of sense there to put a few dollars there on Scott Stallings. So there you go.
Okay. I think I would lean a little shorter than I normally do this week with a lot of big names up top. The first name that really attracts my monies to be thrown down in a wager would be on DraftKings Sportsbook, and that is Louis Oosthuizen at 40-1. A slightly better number than PointsBet. Love Louis. Talked about him on the DFS side. In incredible form, winning upside, checks all the stat boxes. Love Louis. Again, I'm skipping guys who have I don't really see a first timer with a ton of win equity here. I think it can happen, but I don't really see a lot of first time win equity in a field this stacked up at the top. So while I'm tempted to go like Cam Davis, 66-1, because I freaking love Cam Davis, and I may still, I would rather an 80-1 Siwoo Kim. Longer number, probably a much lower floor than Cam Davis, but the ceiling of winning for a guy like Siwoo, who won the Players Championship and has won a couple of PGA Tour events, 80-1. I like the number. A guy I did not mention in terms of DFS, but like Siwoo is a multiple winner on the PGA Tour, is Brendan Steele. He's 100-1. By the way, Siwoo was on PointsBet at 80-1, better number. Brendan Steele, better number on PointsBet as well at 100-1. Can take advantage of the par fives, plenty long. Hate his freaking golf swing. If I got a bet on Brendan Steele and he's in it come Sunday, I'm going to inject myself with some sort of sleeping medication just to let me go to sleep so that I can wake up and then someone can tell me whether Brendan Steele won or did not. But either way, I don't have to look at his golf swing. However, I think he could do it here. If I want to go long, I think a kid who's fearless enough and has competed top 10, top 15, has not won. This would be his first victory on the PGA Tour if he won, but has competed in enough events and has the ball striking ability to play well here. Taylor Gooch at 150-1 on PointsBet. I'm sorry, DraftKings. No, PointsBet, 150-1. I like that for Gooch. And then a guy I mentioned in the DFS section that either misses the cut or literally finishes T14 or better and has done so in stronger fields than this is Zhenjun Zhang, who is at 200-1 on DraftKings. That's a big number for a guy who has a bunch of top 15s on the tour. Again, albeit a bunch of miscuts, but Zhenjun Zhang, 200-1, I'll take it. I've got some top 10s and top 20s that I also think are interesting. Do you have any of those?
I don't. Go ahead with those.
You don't. Okay. Top 10, two guys at 14-1, and I like both of these a lot. Tringali and Sepp Straka, both at 14-1. Both good ball strikers. Straka loves bent grass greens, putts best on bent grass. That's what he's proven over his little over a year PGA Tour career. 12-1 for a top 10. Joel Damon, who you mentioned in the outrights, Taylor Gooch, who I already mentioned, and Adam Hadwin, who I talked about on the DFS side. 12-1 for top 10s on those three. And then a few top 20 bets, if I'm looking at double digit numbers here that I like. Justin Suh, who I mentioned in the DFS section, college standout, great ball striker, hits it plenty long, great pedigree. A top 20 is feasible, I think, for him at 11-1. Nick Watney at 10-1. He's a Vegas guy, very familiar with this golf course. Can pop up and have a top 20 easily here. He's at 10-1. And then a guy who's been playing pretty well here recently in the last few weeks, another PGA Tour winner, just hasn't won in a long time, 10-1, Sean O'Hare. I think he's an interesting 10-1
O'Hare
for top 20. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Cheers. All right. Check out DB's Big Balls betting card. Comes out on Tuesday afternoon with kind of my first thoughts. And then by Wednesday, it's finalized. I basically tell you, if all you had was $50 and you wanted to bet on golf, here's how I would spend that $50. We're 25 units up on the year through 4 events. Doing pretty good. Just hit Hudson Swafford at 150-1 2 weeks ago. Last week had a bunch of live numbers with Cam Davis leading going into Sunday at 60-1. Had Ventura at 75-1, 2 shots back. Had Hoffman at 70-1, 3 shots back, all going into Sunday. They all 3 crapped the bed, but we've been really close. So check it out. And then, of course, Pat has his that he tweets, and it's called what? Pat's
Not That Anyone Cares betting card.
Yes.
That one comes out randomly. We don't know when. We don't have a schedule for it, but
yeah, it may not come out.
We're now 2 weeks in a row. We have not hit a bet. We came very close with Tyler McCumber.
Just 2 weeks, though. 2 weeks. That's okay.
Yeah, just 2 weeks. We came close. Well, actually, no, we have hit a bet.
Oh, you hit Hudson Swafford.
We hit the first round
leader.
Yeah, we hit that. And then we almost hit McCumber at 225-1, but it was either way. You were going to hit Hudson Swafford, or I was going to hit that one. So, it hasn't been a bad start for Pat's Not That Anyone Cares betting card. So you just got to look out whether it's going to be on Twitter. It could be on Instagram. It could be in the Nut Hut chat. It could be anywhere.
We could mail it to you.
Yeah.
You never know. You got to be careful. Pat could literally write it out and lick a envelope and send it to you in the mail. You got to be on the lookout for the Pat's Not That Anyone Cares betting card. All right. That's it for Sportsbook Picks tonight. Let's get into the final segment of the night, everyone. This is Just the Tip. In Just the Tip, we typically give you a tip on golf, like real golf, or on how to improve as a golfer, or a small tip that you need to know for playing DFS or betting on golf. Tonight, we're not doing that. My member guest is upcoming at Champions Retreat. We are going to talk tips for a successful member guest event. So if you're playing in a member guest or some kind of team event with your partner, getting ready to go into the battlefield, you know what I mean? The battlefield of golf at a country club somewhere, which is not an actual battlefield, but you're getting ready to go. There's things that you need to do long beforehand. People think, this is the problem, Pat. People think that the battle is won that weekend, or that day of the tournament. If that is where you think it's won, you are wrong. You're going to lose. You're going to get your ass handed to you. You have to be thinking about this way further out. You have to plan. You have to get in the trenches. You know what I mean? And we're going to help you with that tonight.
We have a lot of experience with this, as you have mentioned, and we talked about at the beginning of the show. I'm excited to give folks a lot of good advice here. And there's a lot of different angles you could take with, member guests and what some of the things you need to do. But like you said, leading up to the event is almost just as important as the actual event itself.
Oh, yeah.
So what has happened from my experience? What has happened this year? DB has constantly texted me. Pat, did you get a lesson last week? Pat, did you play? Did you practice? What did you do last week? How is the game? If you're on the guest side, you got to be we got to massage that relationship a little bit too. If DB says, hey, did you practice this week? You say, yes, I practiced this week. Yes, I did. Even though all you did was maybe putt a few, 5 balls. You may do that. No, I'm just kidding. You don't do that. You got to be real with your partner at all times. I think that's important. You got to
The
be
whole
real
thing
with
is
your
built on trust, Pat.
You got to be real with your partner at all times. You got to be, which I've done with you. You've gotten the full realness from me. But if you're the guest, play, practice, maybe get a lesson. You gotta be with it. You can't just sit there and act like this isn't a major tournament. Like,
It's a major.
What does Phil do before majors? I mean, he sets himself up before he gets to a major. He likes to play certain events. He likes to, play the week before, which is what I did. I played the week before. I played this past week, got a good gauge of how my game is. And now I know that this week, all I got to do is do some chipping and putting, and I should be good come Thursday when we start, or Friday when we start. So I think that's important. DB, what would you say as a member? Like, what are your most important things that you're looking at before the tournament starts? Let's not get into when it starts, but before.
There's a lot of things that I think apply to both member and guest. Number one is you got to work your handicap. This is why you can't think about it the week of, the day of. You have to work your handicap. Pro tip: if you are playing well, okay, if you are starting to round into form as your member guest is approaching, I'm talking 6 weeks, 4 weeks out, play rounds by yourself. Okay. It may be lonely, but play rounds by yourself. This actually just happened to me. Currently, under the GHIN system, I am a registered 8.5 handicap. Now, about 6 weeks ago, I was playing by myself and shot a 74. That I should probably, based on that, I would be like a 4.5. Well, I don't want to be a 4. I don't need to be a 4.5. I don't want to be an 8.5. So if you play rounds by yourself by USGA standard, you do not have to report, nor should you report that round, because you're probably lying about it. Well, I'm actually not lying about it, but it is what it is. So play rounds by yourself if you feel yourself starting to get into form. Another big key. And, I'll save that one. Take lessons, which we've talked about. I'm trying to get Pat to take lessons, take some lessons. You got to have, for me, your wardrobe and your playlist help set the mood. Okay. And those are things that obviously only apply to the day of, but you have to think about them ahead of time. You can't just roll up on number one and be like, oh, I need some music. Okay. Pop hits. Next thing you know, like Ariana Grande and fucking,
too much Lizzie. Too much Lizzie.
Lizzo, she's coming
Whatever
off all over the place. And you're like,
Yeah.
fuck, this is terrible. I'm in a bad mood. I can't play and I hate my partner. You don't need that. So you got to think about it well ahead of time, and you got to consult with your partner. Hey man, what do you like? What do you want to hear? What gets you feeling good? What's the playlist? You got to have the vibe. You need a team jam. What's the jam that when it's hitting the fan and you guys aren't playing good is going to pick you up? You know what I mean?
And what did I do this past week? I texted you. I was like, hey,
you text me.
I need some of this on the playlist.
You said, I need some Morgan Wallen on the play. I say, I got you.
Yeah.
Done. Last year, our song was Curtains by Lil Wayne. In the beginning of it says, I ain't nervous. I swear to God, I ain't nervous. You know what I mean? Like, and we weren't nervous. We were not. And we wanted to let the people that we were playing with know, hey, mother effer, we're not nervous. And nothing says we're not nervous like Lil Wayne, who's 40, saying we're not nervous. So you got to consult about the playlist. Attire. You can make fun of people who care about their clothing. But at the end of the day, if you care about your clothes, you care about your person and like how you look. You know what I mean? And you look good, you play good, you feel good, you play good, you play good, you win. And so that matters. You don't have to be matchy, but make sure your partner doesn't like some slouch out there. You don't want him to embarrass you, especially if you're the member. Going. I'll hit this one and I'll kick it back to you, Pat. This is along the lines of the playing by yourself round. You have to, if you're playing in the event and you are beating the team and it is done, like you're going to beat the team. Okay. But you as a player are about to play way under your handicap, you have to throw some holes. Especially if your partner is doing okay in those holes, you're going to at least tie. You don't want to cost yourself the match, but if you're an 8 and you're through 6 holes, 1 over, and you guys are crushing the other team, like you need to find a way to have a TIA putting the ball and just, hit the thing 7 feet by the hole and then miss the comeback, or, you need to find a way to do something weird to make it look like your score is actually what it should be, true to your handicap. That's very important. And hold your partner accountable to that too. If they're having a great round, you need to make sure you go, hey man, I need you to throw a hole here. We can't have these guys reporting back saying that we're a bunch of sandbaggers. So anyway, that's something else important. Pat, anything else for you?
Well, I mean, now I'm moving into the actual tournament itself, and it has all, the biggest thing is, look, we're going to be drinking during this during this whole ordeal.
Yeah, we are.
And there's a lot of different aspects of drinking during a member guest that you got to take care of. Okay. First off, let's start with the, first part of the round. If you're a drinker and you like to drink during a round and you don't feel like that hurts your game, because some people it does hurt their game. Some people
you have to know your partner too.
You got to know your partner. What do they, do they like to drink during the round, but how much should they get to, like what their levels are? There's a lot of different levels. Like for me, if I get to a certain level, my game, it improves, but I can't go beyond that level. So I have to stay there at that certain level. I like to start the morning off because we play these, you start early off with a little Bloody Mary, something that's not like, it's got some vodka in it. It's not terribly strong. It gives you a little bit, kind of, if you got some nerves, it gets a little, gets those a little bit more relaxed. There's some nutrients. I feel like there's some nutrients somewhere in a Bloody Mary, somewhere.
For sure, some nutrients.
Yeah. And then after that, you have to be able to regulate the levels. And we've talked about this before. The TT to beer ratio has to be in line. So
very important. You got to stay hydrated. If you're
drinking beers during the day, during your round, you may be drinking a lot of beers, but you got to have some TTing going on as well with some waters mixed in. Don't just overload with the beers, and then all of a sudden you hit the TT range, but you're not like rehydrating with some waters. Like you got to mix those waters in there with the beer, and then that keeps your levels right. Okay, that's how you keep your level right, is the water. That's kind of like the most important ingredient in that level area. That's important for me. DB has learned over the years for me, like how to really like regulate that. He knows also that I don't drink liquor on the golf course. I don't take fireball shots and do that kind of stuff. Like that's not for me. I've learned that's not for me. That takes you overboard. That takes you past the levels where you want to be for good play. So if you're just going to have some beers, you need to mix in some waters in there. You need to be TTing, and your partner needs to make sure that you're doing the TT and all that kind of stuff. I think that's important as well. But I do like the Bloody Mary start. Just one. You don't need to go overboard. You don't need 2 to start. If you don't like Bloody Marys, I think the alternative is a nice little mimosa. Now, you may not like that. You may think that's not manly. But look, a little champagne and orange juice to start the day is not a bad. It's not. I'd rather have
a screwdriver. I'd rather have some vodka
or a screwdriver. I like that too. As I mentioned, though, I try not to get too much into the liquor during my round. But that's later. That's for later in the day, later in the evening for me. But I think levels, alcohol, that kind of stuff is very important during the entirety of a member guest, and you and I have gotten that down fairly good. We've not had an episode yet where I have like totally gone overboard.
Right.
Now afterwards, we've had that.
Yeah, afterwards we definitely had it. I'm not one. I play worse if I get buzzed or drunk. Like I have to have no more than 2 beers a 9 and no liquor. And in the mornings, I don't need a Bloody Mary. I need a coffee to just work everything through. Because the last thing I want is like the nervous, it's on the course. I don't need that. So I don't need a bloody. I need coffee, and then that's it. So you got to know your partner. You got to be able to step in there and go, hey man, don't take the fireball shot. Let's keep focused here. And I think the last thing you do is when you get up on the first tee, you need to self-deprecate. You got to self-deprecate to the people you're playing against. You got to right off the first tee. You need to be the first one to it. Don't let them. If you wait, they will do it to you. That's the thing. If you wait, they will do it to you. And as soon as they do it to you, you're mind banged and you're done. You have to be the first one to be like, what's up, guys? How's it going? Yeah, I'm Dave. Introduce yourself. You don't know him, whatever. You just got to be like, I hope you guys are having fun. I mean, we've played like absolute crap. We can't hit a fair. We're awful. Like this guy's a crap show. He's drinking too much liquor. We're done. Like you guys are gonna smoke this. Are you cool if you guys are up by a lot? Are you cool if we just kind of just chill and take it real casual? You got to self-deprecate right off the bat because what that does is it transfers all the pressure to them because they get in the cart, after the first tee shot. And they're like, these guys are trashed. They can't.
This is going to be an easy victory.
It's an easy victory. They're in a bad headspace, and all the pressure goes on them. So when they start hitting bad shots, all they're thinking is, "Oh my God, we got to beat these guys." They told us on number one that they're totally screwed.
If we lose to these guys, it's like in college football, like when you're playing like the Vanderbilts of the world. Sorry, Vandy. I love Vandy, but like if you lose, like you're thinking in your mind, like if I lose to Vandy,
you can't lose to Vandy.
What the hell? Like I can't lose to Vandy. Like
the whole program, we might as well blow it up. So that's what happens.
That's the mentality there.
Yeah. So that's also key. Anyway, that's our member guest tips of the week. If you are still listening or watching this, Godspeed to you. Thank you. We will be doing some Instagram stuff. Check it out at Tour_Junkies. Starting Thursday night, should be pretty good. Friday and Saturday is the member guest. We've had, this is our third year doing it at Champions. We have both years. We've made money. We've made more money. We've placed in our flight. We've gone into the final match both years, leading the flight, and then lost the final match to lose the flight and not make the shootout. So we've been this close. We just need to make the shootout, and I would be happy. If we just make the shootout, I'd be happy. That's all I'd
be happy too, but I also want to, like this year, I would love to get off to a better start. Like get off to a start where
we get off to a slow start.
Last match doesn't necessarily mean, if we win or lose that we're going to lose the flight, but we'll see.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, pull for us, cheer for us. We'd appreciate all the T's and P's. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the Tour Junkies podcast. Whew, it's been a rough one. May your screens be green for the Shriners Hospital for Children Open 2020. See ya.